Hey everybody, I'm Yvonne with Back to Earth Creations, and in this video I want to show y'all at least three. We may get carried away, but we're going to start with at least three different easy, beginner-friendly, wire-wrapped ear cuff designs. Sorry, I was fixing to get tongue-tied. Well, there I go. I was fixing to get tongue-tied on that. But these are great for launching off points to show you how you can maybe add a little bit of variation and variety into a very basic ear cuff design and add elements of complexity to make the designs your own, and to also, if you're going to be making them for sale on your website or out of your booth or anything like that, it's a great way to kind of take a simple design and go wild with it. And having mentioned that, y'all are very welcome to make and sell these designs. So if anybody asks though, if they're like, oh, how do you make this? Just send them back on this way or show them how to do it yourself. Just spread the love of crafting. So that being said, let's go ahead and get started. Alrighty, y'all, there are links to all the different tools and materials that I'm using in this video down in the video description, and those are affiliate links, so purchasing through them does help to support our business without any additional cost to you. And it's a really great starting point for if you're not entirely certain, where to shop. So you can kind of see something and be like, oh, I like those wire snips, but then you find one that you like better. It's a good launching point. So I am snipping off about 12 inches of 20 gauge wire, and this is enameled copper core wire by Parawire. It's what I use in just about all of our work that I don't want to have to oxidize and polish or maintain at all. And I'm going to snip off 3 lengths because I want to show you how to do 3 different ear cuff designs. Now these ear cuffs are intended to be worn without any sort of piercing. And if you stay tuned till the end of the video, I'm going to be showing y'all how to do a custom fitting on these as well. So we have, let me spin this around. I'm actually going to zoom out for you. Please pardon my very messy work surface, but I do have links to this tool organizer as well, which I really love for keeping things tidier. It could be worse. My workspace could be worse. So these are, you could use a pen or a knitting needle as well. Like here I have an awl. I could use the shaft of the awl as well. But I'm going to be using the 8mm part of these stepped bail making pliers or mandrel pliers or whatever you call them. And I'm going to find the center line of our wire. And I'm going to grab, like the center line is under my thumb, I'm going to grab off to one side and bend. And then I'm going to grab it here, and I've lined up this end of the wire with the side of my finger, and I'm just going to set my pliers on the edge of my fingers and then bend this down. Now I realize everybody's hands are different, but this measures to about 40 centimeters from the tip of this wire to the tip of this wire. And this is the same way, there's my dog. Hazy dog. This is the way that I prep all of the wires for my ear wires, because I'll show you there's some different ways that we can resize it. And I'd always rather give myself a little bit more wire than what I think I'm going to need for a person's ear. Because I do, sell these out of my booth and, on our website and stuff. So I want it to be able to be sized down. Whereas if I made it very petite, to suit like a child's ear or a petite ear, then it may not be able to be resized up. So we're going to start by, I'm going to show you how to do our most basic of ear cuff designs where it doesn't include any bead or anything whatsoever. And to do this, I'm just going to take my thumb and bend. So I'm holding between my thumb and my finger, and I'm bending that wire just around the pad so it makes a nice soft bend. It's not like a crispy right angle bend or anything. And then I'm going to turn it, and I'm going to hold that cross point, and I'm going to bend up on this side as well. And you can see things aren't perfect, but they don't need to be. And so from here, I'm going to rotate it around, and I'm going to grab here in the middle, and I'm going to bend that up. I'm going to rotate it around, I'm going to grab in the middle, and I'm going to bend that up. And you can see how it's starting to spiral in on itself. So now I can grab here and bend up, and then I can rotate, and I can grab this wire and bend up. and it just makes a rosette. Now this one's pretty loose. To make it tighter, I'll show you on this one. To make it tighter, we're going to bend it pressed nice and close like that. And then again, I hold it, and I'm going to bend that up and around, and now we can turn it, and I'm going to bend this side up and around. And just the tighter we pull on it, the more it's going to make that inner spiraling snug and tight. So there's that. And neither way is right or wrong. It's just a nice design variation. And in fact, this one here, if we had threaded a bead on it, like this, how it has a bead on that center line. Knocking stuff off my desk. That's how we would frame it. So I'm going to bend this one up. I want to finish for this first design. I want to finish with the wires being in opposition of each other. And then I'm going to come right here and I'm just going to pinch that down, and I'm going to pinch that down just to make those wires be close to each other. I'm going to hold this spiral and I'm going to wrap once, twice, and thrice around like that. And if that's difficult for you, you can totally use nylon jaw pliers to hold our spiral there in the middle, and then use some bent nose or chain nose pliers to wrap. But I get kind of varying results. 1, 2, and 3. There we go. But once you get it going, it really goes. And this is, I got a tighter wrap off of that. It wasn't as tight initially as it was on this side, but it did get nice and even. And so from here, we do have two options. We could snip it short. Let's get that to not be blurry. We could snip it short and just smush it down, or we could snip, and I like to do about a finger's width or about 20 millimeters on either side. So I'm just going to flip it, and I just line up the edge of my finger with the wire, and you can make this longer or shorter. And I'm going to use my petite round nose pliers. These are my usual round nose pliers that I like to use on, anything up to a 16 gauge, but these ones, my petite tips, I only use up to a 20 gauge. And those are linked down in the video description as well. So I'm going to grab as close to the tip of the wire and as close to the tip of the pliers as I can. And then I'm going to zoom out. Nope, that's the wrong way. There we go. I'm going to zoom out so you can hopefully see how my hands are interacting with each other. I've not let up on the pliers at all. There we go. And we've just made a little spiral. Now there will be a link maybe popping up on the screen. Maybe definitely down in the video description that takes you to our wire wrapping masterclass that's entirely just on spirals. So if you're having trouble with spirals, or you want to brush up, or dive a little deeper, I highly recommend checking that out. And all of our tutorials here on YouTube are free, so there's no pay gate or anything to be able to go and watch those wire wrapping masterclasses. And if you're having trouble with your pliers slipping off the tip, I don't know if you can hear that, but sometimes they'll slip off the tip. Just grab it a little farther back and keep, it's almost like a vroom vroom, or a turning a key in a lock motion. So now there we have our little spiral. It's a little messy or organic, but that's okay. And then I'm using that same 8mm barrel, and I like to just grab it and bend it around. You can see like that. And then we're going to bring this around and bring it in. Now these make excellent, if you made instead of a 40mm from tip to tip, if you made it a little wider, you could totally use this as an adjustable ring, or as a toe ring, or as a dread bead, or just whatever you think. It'd be pretty cool. Now, whenever you size this on your ear, oftentimes I'll squeeze one side down a little lower, and that'll be the part that holds on to like the back of your ear. And again, I've got like a little ear figure that just don't judge too hard. Okay, so like our nice ear displays are buried in my booth setup. So I'm going to show you on this one. But the ear cuff is designed to sit on this part of the ear down here because there's typically not a whole lot of flesh. It's just cartilage up in this part of the ear. And so the part that's going to be wrapping around behind the ear, I like to keep pretty narrow. Now, of course, this is sculpted out of like some hard but not completely hard clay, so it's not behaving like an actual ear, but it would come and wrap around, and then this part rests in your ear well. So we'd squeeze down on the back and then we'd squeeze horizontally, and again, if it were a nice like supple ear, it would actually fit. But if you need to make any tweaks, the part that comes and rests in the ear well, we can come in here and use round nose pliers or something of the sort to just tighten in this little bit here. Do you see how we have that curled in? So now it has more surface area to come into contact with the ear. And so that's going to wrap behind the ear, and then you can see how it comes in and rests. And now whenever we squeeze down, there's something to actually hold on to. Now, oftentimes whenever we first started making this style of ear cuff, it was to cover up the seam on the prosthetic elf ears that we like to wear, but they do look good on just regular human ears as well. And then to take them off, you just roll it towards the back and slide it off. And then it's just like untying a shoe before you put it back on again. You can just gently open that back up, and now it is ready to put on again. So, and that's how just about, oh, these ears are so weird. That's about how all of our ear cuffs fit. So I'm going to go ahead and demonstrate the next ones as well. So it just kind of would sit on there, and again, not to scale, not real human ear, but we could do that sizing, and this is how that one would kind of dangle down. I'll have to try to get some video modeling them or something at the end. And then we also have this style here that can be worn climbing up the ear. Fortunately, most of our customers are not sculpted from clay, but there's a very scientific smush technique to getting everything to fit together. So this one, you can have the little spirals going up the ear or coming down the ear, depending on your own preference. So let's go ahead and see how to make that style next. So we've gone ahead and we've made the tighter spiral together exactly the same as the first one, and I'm going to bring it around until both of these wires are coming down towards the bottom. And again, I'm using my finger. I like to use my hands because I typically have them on me, but I'm just measuring from where the wire diverges away from the rest of the design. So like right there, about a finger width. This one's probably a little closer to almost an inch. Whatever you do, just try to be consistent about it, because you could make it larger than this. You could make it like 1.5 inches and have a big spiral, or you could make it even shorter and have a tiny spiral. It's truly your own artistic preference. So I'm going to take this and I'm going to grab as close to the tip of the wire and as close to the tip of the pliers as I can. And I'm going to bring this in just a little whoop, spiral. And I've smushed it around because I want to make sure that it is kind of below the center line. And now from here, I'm going to grab that spiral between my finger and thumb, and I'm going to bend this around, just getting it to hug parallel to it. Like, I don't want it necessarily going over or behind. And from here, I'm going to measure, again, using my finger, just measuring from where the wire goes past this spiral. So right there. Whoop. Snip. And now from here, we're going to grab, whoop. It's okay if the pliers slip. but we want to make sure that we're not like gripping it so hard that the pliers are breaking and cutting through our wire. And now we can use our nylon jaw pliers or a nylon headed hammer to kind of squish and work harden this. Now keep in mind though, not everyone's ears are flat. In fact, most people's aren't. So whenever we're making these for display on our we use kind of like a ring tray insert to display our wire elf ears. Typically, or our wire ear cuffs. Typically we'll have them displayed flat. In this ear, even then you can see it's got a little bit of a curve to it. Well, to make it fit the curve of the ear, we can take it and just shape. And so there is some nuance to the custom fitting for these, but so long as it's comfortable and is staying on and looks the way that you wanted it to, then you did it right. So now for the next design, I'm going to show you how to make one that has a loop coming down off of it. That way you can attach a charm or some chain or just whatever you like. And here we have, and I'm going to show you, let's go ahead and put a bead on this one. Let's get a little wild. Ooh, here's a pretty bead. So this one I'm going to thread on just some random sea bead I found on my desk. Typically I like to put the beads on and then do the bends because not all beads will go over the bend. And so I'm going to put the bead between my two fingers like this, just to keep it from sliding around on me. And then I'm going to put my thumb over it. And just like how we did before, I'm going to bend that around. See how it cups the bead on that side? And then I'm going to come around to this side. Ooh, and I want to make sure you can always tweak it to get it to be more in the middle. But I'm just holding and then bending around. And then I'm going to pinch quite firmly because I don't want anything to be getting too wild. There we go. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4 wraps. Yeah, I think that's a good amount. So for this, I'm going to choose this one arbitrarily. It doesn't matter. Typically I choose whichever one is longer. These ones came out pretty evenly sized. And I'm going to use my round nose pliers. And I'm going to hold to where you want the loop to be large enough to accommodate whatever jump ring you're going to be using. So we have that, and I'm going to shape it around, and then I'm going to shape that. And we're just making, whoop, a blurry little loop, like so. And you can use your pliers or your hand to kind of smush that a little. And I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to pinch right there. Just bringing that down. And I'm going to pinch right there, bringing that down. And then I'm going to bring this wire up. And I'm going to use my pliers on this one. And I'm going to wrap 2 and 3. And then I'm bringing this around this way, bringing it around so that we can then wrap 1, 2, and 3. And on this one, I am just going to snip nice and flush on the sides. I put my thumb over it to keep the wire from flying off, but I just get in there and you want to make sure you're just cutting the one wire. Like I don't want to accidentally be, chewing through all of them. But if I don't cover it, then this happens. And then I have more mess to clean up. So now I'm going to come in. We did the snip. Now we're going to do the smush. I like to use my bent nose pliers, but you can use whatever you like. And I'm just going to get in here and I'm going to squish it. I mean, literally just squeeze the heck out of it with my pliers. I don't want to squeeze it too hard because these are stainless steel and this is copper. And I can make the wire bite into itself too hard. I just want it to be enough that, let's see, perhaps this will be helpful. So here we're zoomed in, you can see that's our before. I'm just going to come in and squish, and that's our after. So it's not poking out nearly so much. And I'm so sorry, my hands are all grimy and stained up. I've just come in from the garden and needed to get this video recorded, so the hand washing apparently was not thorough enough, but these are working hands. So that is how that looks. That's the back side, which I think is just as pretty. And so now we have a nice little loop here that we could hang all sorts of anything off of. I'm going to zoom back out. Let's use our mandrel pliers to grab close to the tip of that wire. You can see it's not so far off the edge that it's just going to pinch off, but it's got that much poking through. We're going to shape that around. And I like to use my thumb to keep this part flat because sometimes the wires will kind of lift themselves and distort a little. If that happens, just smush it out. And so now, I mean, and heck, you could probably try with your finger, and if there's any pokey bits, then we can come in there and snip that off. Yeah. We can always trim off more material. You probably just have this be the ear cuff, and you could do a loop on either side. There's so many different ways to take that same basic, almost like the top half of a dragonfly wing that hugs the ear, and make a nice little cuff out of it. And then I'm going to show you the technique that I like to use for opening and closing jump rings. Now these jump rings are from a kit that I get on Amazon that I really like. It's a nice sampler that even if you're not interested in making chainmail, it's perfect for silver toned. I mean, they're aluminum, but they are a really nice silver tone that won't tarnish or irritate most folks with metal allergies. In my experience, everybody's different, but they're not dinky. You can actually attach like a lobster claw clasp and have it stay on, and it's not just some dinky jump rings. Now they do have some sizes that are thinner, but even then they're still pretty robust. So that's linked down below as well. But I'm using an 18 gauge 1/8 inch size aluminum ring that is also afflicted with blurriness. I know if I cleaned my desk it wouldn't be as bad, but well, let the crafter with the perfectly clean desk be the first one to tell me to go clean my desk. So here I'm going to use this little heart charm that I had made in a previous tutorial, link up on the screen. And I'm just going to hook through the loop and through the heart charm. And then I like to close the ring like that. Now, whenever I open rings, I'm going to demonstrate on this larger one. When I open them, first off, you'll notice the rings are offset a little already. And that's because of the way that the rings are made. Either when we make our own or whenever we buy them from the manufacturer, typically chainmail rings or jump rings are stacked as like a coil, and then they're cut either by, with snippers in machine cut, or these ones are saw cut, which I highly recommend splurging and getting the saw cut ones because they're so nice because you can butt the ends perfectly together. And to do that, and you may notice that there's a little gap there where the light's shining through, and that's where the blade of the saw that was cutting it removed some material. So as we open and close this, I'm pressing my pliers inward towards each other. And now that closes that gap. And we can come through, and you can see that's a pretty fair closure on the ring. I could get it a little more perfect. There we are. I am pleased. But that's how we close the ring, and now we've got this nice little heart earring. And if we wanted, we could attach to stabilize the heart and make it sit more like how I'd like for it to. I'm going to open up this other ring, and I'm going to hook through. Oh, it won't fit, so I'm going to take my round nose pliers. I'm going to open that loop up just a little bit more. So now I should be able to fit this ring through here. I'm going to bring this up, and I'm going to fit a second jump ring through our little loop, and then I'm going to close it. Whoop. Yep, that came out pretty good. And there we are. We have a nice little chainmail. No, not chainmail. A wire wrapped ear cuff. And stay tuned for more because we've got a bunch of other ear cuff designs to show y'all and to experiment with in future tutorials. Hey y'all, thanks so much for hanging out with me during this video. I do hope that it was helpful to you. If you have any questions, comments, or ideas, do leave them down below. If you enjoy our free tutorials and would like to support the creation of more of them, you can click the like button, you can subscribe, you can share this video to your friends and any other crafter communities that you might be in. We also have our YouTube channel memberships and just a whole bunch of stuff. There's links to all of it down in the video description. We do send out monthly kits to our Happy Crafter Club if you'd like to get your hands on the same cabochons and wire that we use in our own work, as well as some of our lampwork glass beads sometimes, and it's different every month. So you can find on our website backtoearthcreations.com a calendar of events that if you're watching this in the future, possibly many years hence, we've been making videos full time since 2016. So thank you guys for all of your support and everything. But if you're watching this in the future, you should still be able to find an up-to-date schedule of when we're having new tutorials or whenever we're doing live streams, or if we're doing any vending or teaching events. You can find all of that at our website. So thank you guys again so much for being here, and we will see y'all next time. So until then, happy crafting. Mwah! Bye.